Today I'm going to teach you how to cover up your acne marks. I always get asked time and time again, how do I cover my acne marks? So today I'm going to show you exactly how I cover up my acne marks. We're going to walk through it together and I'm going to give you my tips and tricks on what I do from start to finish. So grab your makeup brushes and come join me. As you can see, I have a lot to cover up today. With acne, it's really hard for you to start off with a very good base. You need to be able to have a very good skin prep if you want your makeup to last long and look good throughout the day. Now, skincare is a very important step because you have to deal with what is already currently on your skin. I have to do things like spot treat. Whilst I have makeup on, my skin is still working to get through the day. And by through the day, I mean like products that I use such as spot treating, salicylic acids, tea tree, essentially to help calm my skin whilst getting rid of my acne marks. So you need to make sure that your skin prep is really targeting those things and not just a hydrating base. You do both simultaneously. If I know I'm going to wear makeup, I double layer my moisturizer, and one of the moisturizers I do use is this. This is one of the moisturizers I use all the time, and if I know I'm going to wear makeup, I always go double in up twice. It might sound like a lot, but it's actually not. It's a gel-based moisturizer, so it works just fine to like layer out. Secondly, primer makes a difference. You need to make sure that your primer works in line with your concealer and foundation, because if they don't, if you use a water-based primer, silicone-based concealer and XYZ, it's gonna start to separate and start to peel. So you have to find ones that work in hand together. Now, I will say that I never had to research, it just happened to click and it just worked. Always for me, my most important step is always making sure that my skincare is good and having a very good primer. Now, in saying that, I have fallen in love with two different primers. One is a Laura Mercier blurring primer. It's the blue bottle. I think it's a hydrating blurring primer. I love it so much, but at the price point, I'm not willing to pay it just yet. I have to keep trying it a few more times before I can completely sell myself to it. But I already love it so much and I would love to buy it. It's a bit more affordable. Is this e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. Now, this has been in my routine for 3 years. Ever since having severe cystic acne, I've tested on literally a face full of cystic acne. I've tested on this face and everything's been fine. Literally, if it's been my routine for that long, you know it's good, right? In saying that, make sure your hands are nice and clean before you touch your face. I'm gonna go give my hand a quick wash and I'll be back. Now my hands are nice and clean, I'm gonna go with my primer. The amount you use, also very important. If you're gonna go and do an everyday makeup, maybe a pea size is okay, depending on the surface area. But if you're going for like a heavy glam, or if you're spending the whole day out, I would go in with a lot more primer, and by a lot more, I mean like, we're gonna go squeeze out like that. And that's how much you would normally get on a normal squeeze. I'm gonna squeeze it a little bit more, and that's how much you'll get. I'm gonna rub it between my fingers, that sticky consistency, and then I'm gonna pat it into my skin, as well as rubbing it into my skin. But the last step is patting it in to make it kind of more essentially settled. And if you feel like it's not enough, you can always go back in, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I really like this primer because it makes the skin feel tacky, and I feel like when it's tacky, the makeup is gonna cling to it better, so giving you a better result. Now, once that's done, you just kind of let it sit for 30 seconds. Your face will start to feel a bit sticky, and that's exactly what we want. And during this time, you just kind of wait and then get out the products that you're going to use. I'm going to show you products that I use on a daily basis, from affordable to a bit more expensive, pricey. We're going to start off with concealer. Concealer is a very big part of my journey because I don't really like to wear foundation sometimes, and I find that it's very hard for me to find a foundation. A lot of foundations I've tried have broken me out a fair bit, so I get a bit skeptical and scared to try any new foundation. That's why I only use concealer. Now I'm going to show you my favorite concealer of time. I found this probably a year ago. Prior to this, I can't even remember what concealer I was using, to be honest. Before I found this cheap alternative, I was using NARS and L'Oreal. Since then, I've stopped using L'Oreal because obviously I found a new concealer. So as you can see, you know it's a fave when you have this many. This is the same tip concealer. This is in the shade green. I first found this in Japan, thinking it was a Japan product, and when I flew to Korea, I actually saw it in Korea and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know it was a Korean brand. I ended up buying, so these are the first two that I bought. in Japan, and then I ended up following up with another 4 concealers. I don't know where the other one is. I also bought the concealer pen version, and it's been missing in my makeup and I don't know where it's gone. It's been about a whole year and I haven't seen it. It's just vanished. They have a fair few shades. I believe there's a pink shade, there's a green shade, and the shades that I'm holding up, this is a 1.25, and then we've got 1.5 and 2. I typically use this over foundation just because I find that the coverage is pretty good. This was one of the recent purchases that I made. I like this because it's got obviously the 3 tri-colors to color correct. If I'm really lazy, I will go back in with this green concealer, and liquid works super well in covering as well. But if you want fuller coverage, go for this one. We're gonna do the cream only because this is a bit more self-explanatory. Just put it on and you just blend, right? Now, brushes are important. I use these 2 brushes. These are the 2 main concealer brushes. One is to pick up the product. As you can see, it's very, very flat and the surface area is wide enough to pick up enough product to place onto my skin. This is also a very old brush. This is probably when I was about 17, when eBay was a thing. This is one of the brushes that I bought off eBay with a whole set, like the whole makeup set. And the second one is this brush. This is very important because you want the brush to buff out every single thing that you've put on. It's round and dense, and this is a Morphe brush, M335, but this is something that I bought many years ago, probably when I was 18. You can find something similar as long as it's tapered, round, and dense. You want it to be dense. You don't want it to be like a fluffy brush like this. That's not going to help you. It's not going to blend. It's not going to look seamlessly. I never stray away from these 2 brushes. These are my favorite brushes that go everywhere with me. I typically like to kind of go in with the salmon, the peachy color, just because I find that sometimes it works a bit better. It's not all the time that I use, like if my skin looks like this, where I feel like I have less acne marks to work with, then I will go in with the peach. But if I feel like sometimes I have too much to go with, I will go in with green. Pick it up like this, and that's how much it gives you. Once everything is dried and tacky, you want to spread it in the areas that have your concern. Do you see how this spacious area doesn't really have that much acne marks compared to the sides? We're going to focus on these areas, adding the product in, and then going in for more wherever it is needed. The best thing about these concealer is, especially from this brand, is that it does not stay green. Do you see how the further I blend it, it becomes a different color? You see that? That's what I love about this product, is that even with this, it tends to go into a more of a skin colored tone. I feel like when you do it like this, it's a lot easier and seamlessly more natural. I like that it does that where it doesn't just stay green. And you see how this one's a bit more red, and see how nicely pigmented that is when I go and swipe it right there and there. And then using the leftovers for wherever is needed. But making sure you're tapping every single thing in, only because if you don't, it kind of doesn't work. It doesn't grip the acne that well, is my thought process. And you want to let it sit. Don't blend it right away. Let it sit, because we're going to do something else. Continue with every single other acne that you have. Now, like I mentioned earlier, skin prep is very important. I can go in as much makeup as I like, and I'm not overly worried because I already have something spot treating and countering these things, right? By the end of the day, my skin will be completely fine. But obviously, sometimes you'll have a product that will break through that and cause hellish on the skin. But that's okay. I actually had to pop my pimples last night because it was giving me too much grief and I was getting really annoyed at the size of them. I'm glad they've gotten smaller and kind of semi-disappeared. Like this one here was massive, but she's kind of gone. So now you're gonna look like this. Next, you're gonna go in with this. If you want some more coverage, do not blend this. You're gonna go in with another concealer and then a foundation. That way, it doesn't really matter. You can go straight in with the foundation concealer. It will just be fine. But if you're someone that really wants to cover it up like real good, I will show you that. So we're gonna go with this NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. Yes, it's expensive. Is it really worth the hype? It honestly is. Before I found this product, I only had this. This was my last resort. It was my last straw because I could not cover anything. I could not, no matter the product that I used, it did not work. And then I saw this on TikTok and I was like, wow, I'm gonna try it. Let's try it, because you can't get a sample of this. So I tried it, $56 Australian, worth every single penny. I love it. It's my favorite product and it's kind of gone. You might say that's a bit too pale for my skin. I will agree with that, only because it doesn't matter too much for me. I only bought this shade because shade was kind of sold out and they only had the really darkest shades or the super light shades, so I had to go with this. It doesn't matter too much because you can use it as a multi-purpose product. So don't freak, just get the shade. I would recommend getting a shade lighter than your natural shade, just because we can, like I said, use it as a multi-purpose product. We can use this as a concealer and then you can use it to brighten and highlight. So that's what I like to use it for. Now, we've already picked up some product on our brush. Now you're gonna go over every single part that has a bit of green. Now you don't have to go in with too much product, you can just kind of lightly put it around and dab around. We'll go in with this salmon peachy color to do my dark circles. I just place them here. I feel like underpainting is so underrated. I love doing underpainting. I feel like it gives you a very good base and the makeup looks very flawless. It's up to you whether you want to go with foundation or concealer. Both give different results. This one for me, I feel like can be a bit more fuller coverage. This one for me is a bit more lightweight, feels a bit more airy, buildable. Now the brushes that you use to put on this product is also very important. If you're gonna go in with a concealer that already has a brush of its own like this, then just go in with that, it's completely fine. If you're gonna use foundation, you can either go in with a foundation brush. I don't really like this because I find it a bit kind of gross to use, or you can go in the spatula. Spatula gives you a bit of a more even spread and kind of works a bit better, gives a bit of a more seamless look. And then you're gonna go in with this brush. Now this is the Morphe M439 brush. It's also a round tapered brush. It's very big in surface area, but this is the brush that I use for foundation. I'm gonna go in with this spatula from Picasso, and then we're gonna go in with this. Anyways, we're gonna give it a quick shake to mix up everything in there. Recently I've been going in with my fingers, but sometimes I just don't feel like using my fingers. They talk about warming it up in your hands, but I feel like it's kind of pointless in my opinion. So you've got the product there. With the spatula, just go in a swiping motion. You'll get product on both sides. And then you pretty much like that. Do you see how it evenly spreads? And then pretty much with the brush, get some of that foundation on and blend. You're not really like blending like in circular motions. I do it in tapping motions like this so that the product stays in place. We're not trying to mix everything around. We just want to ensure that everything is in the same place that it is, if that makes sense. I'm not a makeup artist, so same thing on the other side. And then just tapping it in. You don't necessarily need to put foundation on the eye area only because we already have product on the brush and we don't want to give the eye too much product, especially in this area, because it might make it a bit too cakey and creasing. If you're prone to creasing, don't put foundation around those areas. Just use the leftover product and continue. And continue with the steps with the forehead. I don't like putting too much on my forehead, but sometimes it's a bit inevitable. But I will say, sometimes when using a spatula, you might scrape off the ones that was the makeup that was there previously, that's concealer, and that's normal. We're just gonna keep blending anyways. Do you see how it's come back red? We will go back in with concealer again. So this is pretty much the first layer. It is up to you if you want to go in with a second layer. I will go in with a second layer only because I put too much foundation on my hand by accident. So we're just gonna go in. Oh crap, I put too much on my forehead now. Anyways, we're gonna put the rest on our makeup brush and just go back in again. So it should look like this. And do you see how those red marks are still there? We're gonna go in with this concealer again. Sometimes it's a bit annoying to do makeup on my forehead because I find that the makeup kind of gets off a lot quicker. And then this is where you go in with a smaller brush. And we're just gonna blend, making sure we're tapping in the same spot. We're not trying to travel one across to the other side. We're just blending in, tapping in the same spot where the concealer is. And then with whatever is left, just tap around. And that's pretty much the base. This step is very important in kind of blending everything together and locking it in. I'm gonna go in with my All Day Tight Makeup Setting Fix. This is the one that I got in Olive Young in Korea. Some of you may not live in Korea and it's probably a bit harder to access this. You can go in with the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Either one works, just spritz and go to town. And then just before it dries, grab a beauty blender or a puffer. And this is where I like to kind of tap everything in. And that's when like you get that nice seamless look. This is something I've just recently incorporated into my routine. And I've been doing it since because I like to think that it kind of sets mist in, the setting spray in a bit better, letting it adhere better. And I noticed that the makeup blends a lot nicer. Seamless. We love that. Now you can stop here if you don't have oily skin, but I have oily skin, a very oily T-zone. Now that everything feels super locked in and like snatched, go in with powder. Now my powder that I love and breathe, the only other powder that I've ever actually used aside from this was the Huda Beauty, but that was gifted to me by my friend who used to work at Sephora. And they've changed something about their packaging and formulas. I haven't really gone out to try it again, just because I love this one that I'm going to show you once I'm done itching my goddamn face. This always happens, always the nose. I'm gonna go in with this Fit Me Loose powder. A lot of my products are from Maybelline. I love Maybelline. Love, love, love them. This is my second or third one that I've repurchased. It seems like, despite loving it so much, it doesn't sound like I use them a lot. That's because I don't wear makeup that often, unless I'm traveling. That's the only time. Now we're gonna go in with a puff. You want a puff that looks like this. And then you're gonna tap the product into the puff. It's gonna look like this. You see how it's not dispersed and it's very concentrated in different areas? We're gonna go in back of our hand and tap it out. So this is a bit more of an even coverage because we've tapped everything out and everything should be kind of like evenly distributed. You're gonna tap in the eye area and kind of like rolling in this motion to ensure that the powder has been set into where the eye area and doesn't have any creasing, and continue to the other side. And if you're someone like me that has a bit of an oilier face, T-zone, we're actually going to be focusing a lot of the powder around our nose and our forehead. So same thing again, patting it out and pressing it in areas where you feel like you get the most oil. Mine is usually the side of my nose and the tip of my nose. So that's where I focus more. I'm going to go in and do my forehead again. And with whatever is left on the hand and puffer, do it on the rest of your face. And that is pretty much the end of our makeup tutorial. That is how you cover up your acne marks from start to finish, all the way up from primer to concealing to foundation to setting spray to loose powder, and that is pretty much the whole gist of how to cover it up, and you can continue with the rest of your makeup from here. Hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you all learned something and take away something from today's video. If you try this makeup tutorial and it works for you, drop it in the comments and let me know. It makes me so happy to know that my tips actually work. I've posted on shorts before and I've seen someone comment and it's made me so happy that someone's followed my routine and it's worked for them. So please do let me know if you've tried this. I can't wait to see you in another video. Bye!
baby, I need that kind of love, a supernova.